What is good, y'all? I am Saint Sir Coach coming to you live from this timeline, this dimension that I'm on, and whatever timeline dimension you're on. Hello. This will be a timeless reading. So, whenever you view it, it is the divine timing for you. Apologies for the moving camera. I'm just setting up my space here. So I'm going to be using some oracle cards and one tarot card deck to channel some collective messages for us all. So some of these messages may resonate with me. I find that the messages I tend to channel and receive when doing energy readings, card readings, a combination of that kind of reading and channeling tends to come to me because I'm the one who can say it in the way I'm going to say it. And that's the case for everything and everyone. So these messages may or may not resonate with you. If I feel called to, I'll describe the cards that I'm pulling, but I mostly want to focus on the overall messages and how the cards are all delivering a message in the context of being in relationship with one another. And so one card's energy can influence other cards' energy and so forth. So I want to take that into consideration. I also want to try to decenter sight more in my practice. That's in the practice of all the things that I do. I will not be showing every card to the screen, and I will not be describing every card that I pull, only when I feel that it is really surprising or really necessary to, because I might pull a lot of cards in order to gauge energy, and it's kind of overwhelming for myself and some other folks just to be describing the cards and reading the numbers on the cards and what the cards say and what the cards mean and all of that, when I just want to get down to the nitty-gritty of what I'm channeling overall. And sometimes I'll also pull cards, and the message that I'm channeling is not necessarily what the guidebook or the person who created the cards and card decks would describe the cards as, but it's coming to me because it's the way I'll interpret it. It's the way that I'll translate the message. I think of myself as an interdimensional, multidimensional, not just a translator, but more of an interpreter, because I don't do word for word translations because, of course, spirit and the universe don't speak through um, human words, human language, right? Which is why we have the cards. But even then, sometimes it's like has to be, pulling from, okay, well, how does Saint Sir Coach understand the world and how do they communicate? And then based on that, and then the way I communicate through music, through memes, through pop culture references, through nostalgia, through so many things that I've experienced through my life. And so the spirit realm, the star beings, ancestors, and angels that I have already called in before starting recording are with me and will guide me to what I need to be talking about and what I need to be saying and what I need to hear. Before I get started, I'll say I tried to avoid watching this, and then it kept popping up on my Netflix feed, so I had to watch it. So I watched a documentary for escaping twin flames, and it was really sad. It not this I will say it's not the most sad. It's not the saddest cult documentary I've watched, but I've also purposely not watched most cult documentaries all the way through because they can get really intense. But I understand like why people fell for it, and what bothered me is that there are people who are not considered cult leaders, are not considered, you know, to be abusive, and yet they are also charging that much money for offerings and courses. There are also other people who are saying, I can guarantee that you'll be wealthy in a matter of days if you purchase this thing from me, um or also even the topic of twin flames and divine masculine, divine feminine. A lot of people do talk about it, and even though they're not necessarily, like, most people still are gendering it divine masculine, divine feminine, and also are saying, oh well, somebody has to be divine masculine, divine feminine. And so that bothered me a lot. And so what I'll start off by saying, in case you don't stick around for the rest of this reading, is that I'm trans, I'm non-binary, agender, don't really care for the labels, wish there weren't labels to begin with. But I'm someone, right, of transgender and intersex experience. And there are many religions I've experienced that have frowned upon my existence, and I've literally been like told, I remember there were a few weeks where I was really feeling the Mormons, honestly, and that was because I was like, Jesus Christ honestly feels like my homie, like my best friend. And so I was like, hell yeah, there are Latter-day Saints. We are the Latter-day Saints. Like, I did believe in that part. And then they said I would have to, in order to be baptized, I would have to basically revert my gender um to like my birth gender, which isn't a thing, right? Gender is a construct. So what they really mean is my sex at birth, but what they really mean is the sex I was assigned at birth. And as an intersex person, that was the sex I was designated. However, based on secondary sex characteristics such as hormones, I am a person of intersex experience and biology. So technically, I, like, even biologically speaking, I don't have a binary based gender. So it's truly up to me what how I want to navigate the world. Um, and no doctors are going to tell me otherwise. But I kind of just do my own thing. I mean, everybody, right? It's up to all of us, like, what gender we feel most resonant with. We can play around with gender. And then there's also like the idea of like, who cares? Because I personally, like, I just like don't care. It's like I'm so tired of the labels at this point. Especially for me, it's not like I felt like it would be different if I felt like fully, completely transgender man, um, which would be the only kind of binary trans option in my circumstances. Um, but I don't feel that like manhood type thing. And even then, um, right, I just feel like my masculinity, my femininity, and how it's expressed has nothing to do with gender, more to do with energies, and aesthetics, and more to do with when we talk about divine masculine, divine feminine in terms of yin yang, like those have like nothing to do with gender. Like when we're really thinking about the core of it, like your organs being yin or yang don't have to do with gender. Like, like the stomach is not a man. Like that's not how you would say that. Like we all have these organs, right? And so like I'm talking about like heart, liver, lungs, um stomach, spleen, all of these in traditional Chinese medicine can be correlated and associated with either yin or yang, which yin is the divine feminine, um, yang is divine masculine. However, there's a lot more complexity with Chinese medicine as well, as far as qi, and different life, and then life force energy. There's like the life force, which is blood, and that is like feminine. And then there's chi, which is like the energy that helps circulate the blood, and that is considered masculine. And when you think about it, it's like, come on, like how is blood, like yes, like some people have menstrual cycles, but also anyone can have a menstrual cycle. And then there are people who, right, are women and don't have menstrual cycles or don't bleed, and anyone can have, right, blood deficiency. Anyone can have different conditions associated with blood. In fact, we all have blood in our bodies, right? And so I am more of the camp of, in thinking about like even wombs, that we all have an energetic womb, and the womb is more of an energetic concept to be explored by everyone than just focusing on only those who can literally physically procreate with physical um organs. But this is like not the point of like spirituality, to be thinking about like biology in this way. Like cool, great, whatever, but as we know with medicine, like even cis straight people have difficulty conceiving children, um quote unquote naturally, without medical intervention. Most of them do have to use medical intervention such as IVF, in order to assist um, with pregnancies and things like that. But we're all coming from the cosmic womb that has birthed us all, and the blood inside of us is, and the chi inside of us, right? Like this is what we all have in common. Like this, like there are people who don't have arms, fingers, legs, appendixes, all kinds of things, right? And so we can't even say, right, that everybody has this or that, but everybody has blood. If you have a body, it doesn't matter what the body looks like, but on the inside there is blood coursing through your veins, and that's how you know you're freaking alive. And not just alive, but there's something really powerful about the rushing and um literally the energy of blood, the power of blood, the oxidation of blood, the fact that it's blue on the inside and red when it's exposed to oxygen is wild, um and so on and so forth. But yeah, I just want to say when it comes to these concepts, even when I was in AP psychology in high school, I remember at the time, people were calling me a woman. I didn't really say what my sexual orientation was at the time. I kind of just let people wonder about it. but I was fairly on the A spectrum and still on the A spectrum, but I was recognizing asexuality to an extent. And also still had an interest in men and boys at that age, but was far more interested in my own gender. But it was kind of like a personal quiet exploration I was doing on my own. And then I remember in AP Psych, we did a personality test that would test the personality like of our brains, like the way that which we think. And you could either get a feminine, masculine, or an androgynous. And I really wanted the androgynous because I thought, oh, it's in the middle and it's cool. Like, who doesn't want to be androgynous? Grace Jones, Prince, androgyny is awesome, right? Um, but I got masculine, and I remember it was like me and one other like quote unquote girl student at the time, classmate of mine at the time who identified as a girl at the time who got masculine. And I can't remember if other people got masculine or it was just us. But essentially it was like almost equating it to type A. There's a lot of similar traits when it comes to type A um, and masculinity in psychology in terms of that, which I'm not sure how they phrase it nowadays or if that's revised like personality of the brain or something like that, but thinking of, and this doesn't have to do with gender, they just happen to call it like masculine or feminine thinking, way of thinking, which was like the feminine being more spontaneous, the masculine being more organized, logistical, wanting things to go a certain way, a little stricter, less room for flexibility, but also like lead a lot of leadership qualities would are associated with masculinity. That doesn't mean people with masculine traits should be in power or should always be in leadership. This is just the fault of Western psychology and how it's so rooted in the patriarchy, in eugenics, in the superiority of white cisgender men who are wealthy. Um, and they created the DSM, which is trash. And and then of course when they talk about and break up masculine thinking or personalities and feminine, it's construed in all these different ways, which isn't my favorite or anyone's favorite, but you can look that up if you want to, like masculine brain or um brain personality quiz, maybe something like that. You can Google brain personality quiz psychology, maybe add the psychology so it kind of gives you like the terms that they use if you want those terms. But I think those can also be harmful. There definitely is like this idea of like what is feminine, what is masculine when it comes to just energies, right? Then yes, like the masculine is more like this specific way, no deviation from this. And then that's like order, right? And then femininity is right, the spontaneity, the fluid, the flexible, the adaptable, the ever changing. But we have to also recognize that like the universe and in nature and the like you know the big capital S source source energy, the divine, right, is basically trans, intersex, if it were to be a like a person, like a single entity, but it's not, right? But it encapsulates all of us and everything. So it is masculine and it is feminine. So you could say it's androgynous, but then there are also elements where you can pick it apart if you want. But the beauty of the earth and experiencing the earth as a human is that it's all connected. Everything is connected. So like it really feels like we're missing the point when we are hyper focused on gender and gendering things and hyper focused on separating and segregating things, when there should be more of an emphasis on, well, how do we emphasize that everything is connected? How do we emphasize that like we are all a part of the same universal oneness? How do we get others to understand our point of view because we are one and the same? um like we actually don't have to walk in someone else's shoes, put ourselves in someone else's shoes, so to speak. Like their shoes are our shoes. Like we all, you know, and we are also the shoes, you know. Their shoes are our shoes and we're also the shoes. We're the shoes and we're also the shoemakers, right? And the, you know, and the factory workers and the shoe stores and the sales associate that sold the shoes to the person wearing the shoes. And then we are also that person wearing those shoes. Right. So the person wearing those shoes, where their shoes come from, and all of that. And, you know, and then we're also us, like in our own like experience, right? But there's a reason, like when we even think about ourselves, right? It is, I don't know, even turning inward, right? There is a plurality there. And in this, like, I don't know, I just hope that folks can find through these different conversations coming up, more connection, less disconnection. And my favorite thing is to think about like, you know, pronouns, and um instead of just using they them pronouns, I love to use we, our, us pronouns. Especially when, you know, talking about myself in the third person for a bio, it's a little easier. You know, talking about the first myself in the first person using those pronouns, you know, it can get problematic because of course a lot of people don't want to be spoken for in certain spaces, right? We say we want to speak from the quote unquote I, like from our a singular perspective. We also have to remember we are part of a collective. We are part of, you know, we have hive mind. So it's not just about me, mine, myself, my own. Um, I want, I do this, I say this, you know, and things also have a ripple effect. And there are things that I'm not doing alone. I am a part of movements. I am a part of cultures. I am a part of movers and shakers, right? And so, and I'm a part of communities, different communities. And so with that, that's definitely a we, our, and us mentality. And something that makes me really want to stick by that and really emphasize that is, um, I had recently learned over the summer while this bookstore was featuring a lot of James Baldwin literature, that James Baldwin actually really tried to use these plural pronouns while he was alive, and he was shot down when he tried to. He tried to do this in a way that, really spoke to the collectivity of Black queerness, um, Blackness, queerness, separately and also combined. And for me, there's something even in thinking about the Constitution. It literally starts with "we, the people of the United States," in order to form a perfect union. I used to have the preamble memorized, don't have that memorized anymore. I memorized it, I think, in the 5th grade for like a pizza party or something. But all that's to say, gender is fluid, it's a spectrum, doesn't matter who you are. Like, there are tons of people who will say their sexuality is this, that, and the other thing, and they find themselves attracted to non-binary people, trans people, people that they wouldn't expect to because of their gender identity, and what their sexuality is. But then you also had to think about sexuality also as expansive, also as inclusive. And if you are an inclusive, open-minded person, an open-hearted person, then there shouldn't be any issue with that. And then at the end of the day, we realize, they're all just labels anyway, and the labels don't really matter unless they are empowering an individual, empowering a community. If they're taking away power, if they're making things confusing, if they are muddying anything, then it's not really worth it. It's not really worth the label. That's my 2 cents. Anyway, all right. So with that, I'm going to take a sip of water, a little bio break, and then I will be back in a flash, and we will dive in to some more messages. All right. Hope you didn't miss me. I probably wasn't gone for long because I paused the recording. Yeah, let's dive into some cards, see what the collective energy is. So I just want to get one oracle card from this Hip Hop Queens oracle deck, and then we'll keep it for a little surprise for the end of the reading, and that will be perhaps the theme, the big takeaway, or other signifier to help influence the message that we got. Card's giving me a hard time today. It's like every card wants to come out, but I just need one. This one card, Spirit, please. This one card from this deck. What was that? Collective message. There we go. Hopefully you didn't see that. Okay, gonna put that card off to my side. Just drop the entire deck. Just drop the entire deck, no big deal. Alrighty. Trying to think how I feel about what cards to pull next. And yeah, I'm gonna start with the Animal Spirit Oracle deck. And we'll just pull however many feels right. Now, I don't want to pull the whole deck. The animals can teach us a lot. Wow. Whoa. Okay. So I will briefly describe these cards because they are really beautiful. But I'll just describe, I mean, there's nothing too much to say other than the animals that they are. As far as describing them, the illustrations, they are just an illustration of that animal. If that makes sense. I don't want to get too hyper focused on trying to describe like the style of paint or watercolor and all of that. But we have the crow. So that's telling me like that we have wisdom with the crow, and it's like ancient wisdom. It's like wisdom coming from spiritual worlds, and ancestors. And I say that because you know how everyone's always like, ooh, crow, Halloween, ooh, crow, witches, ooh, crow. You know, but then and we also think about like crows are also, I'll say, misunderstood. And it doesn't mean they're not beautiful birds. But you know, like how there are scarecrows. Scarecrows exist in order to literally scare the crows so they don't eat crops. Now, to me, that's like, wow, you can't. I mean, thankfully, it's like a non-violent way to deter crows. But that it is interesting that that came up as well. Thinking about like, you know, you can't just share the food. You really need that much food that you need to scare the crows away. Now, if you got a bunch of crows and then they ate all the food and then you didn't have any food left, then yeah, then that's kind of, it kind of sucks. But but crows are also resourceful, right, in the fact that they're kind of considered like a scavenger type bird. We have Phoenix, which is really powerful to get. And, you know, I immediately think Phoenix rising from the ashes, of course, with this card. Now I'm going to continue to read the cards that I got. I'm going to tell you like how this message hit me and why I said, whoa, because then we have the Panther with its mouth like agape, roaring panther, you know, and that makes me think of the Black Panther Party. I literally have this tattoo, by any means necessary, and it almost looks like a puma, like the puma thing. I feel like I should have gotten the like a face of a panther roaring, but I wanted it to be a little less aggressive and more subtle when I got it. We have the otter. And sea otters are just super cute. They're always like just like playing around. When I think of the otter with the panther, like I like that, I can't not help but think of collective energy. I think of the Black Panther Party and what they did with getting free food in schools, with childcare, helping people who are houseless, helping people who struggled with substance use, people who were disabled, terminally ill, chronically ill. And then with the otter, I'm also thinking about, like, I love watching like 24-hour live cams of sea otters, whether they're sleeping or playing in the water. Um, like, especially they're all together and they're all just like happy as clams, like, or happy as otters, I guess, just swimming and flapping around and diving and coming back up and diving back in and coming back up. They're super adorable, but then really digging this collective energy, right? So it's like maybe we first have, maybe some of us, I know myself, right, have felt like lone birds, like lone wolves, like crows that traveled alone, had to scavenge alone. And then, like a phoenix, we rose from the ashes of our trauma, from our hardships, and found community in those with similar experiences for us, those who shared similar values. And that, if anything, that's happening now, if it didn't happen before, right, as a collective, the energy is shifting, the consciousness is shifting. Then we also have deer, and while deer are really beautiful, of course, they are also still hunted to this day. They're hunted by survivalists, and of course, they're hunted. I think they're still over hunted because I think there's plenty of other animals to. This is kind of sad. I was gonna say there's plenty of other animals to consume, but then he's like, huh, but then why consume those other animals if you're not gonna consume the deer? I don't know. I just get this feeling like deer have been like over hunted. But they're also hunted for like their hide. I do know there are definitely places in the United States, and I don't know what other countries have deer, but where it is rural and people do have to hunt, and people are poor and they do have to hunt for their food. So people will still have to. Now, I will say, while some people may still hunt deer for food because they're big, it's better than just eating rodents like possums and squirrels. They can really provide for a family. Um, they're also really hard to catch. Like, was watching this show and like they saw markings from a buck's antlers on the tree, and like every day they would come and they wouldn't even see them. Like, you didn't even see the camera pick up any of the deer. And it was a competition survivalist show. So they ate a lot of mussels, fish, crabs, and they had some squirrel at some point. Um, but something about that makes me think about, I recently, and the other week, I pulled the Hunter from another oracle deck, an archetype oracle deck by this same author, Kim Kranz. And then it told me to look, think about the shadow aspects, and then to look up Frida Kahlo's like Wounded Deer, which is a painting where it is this deer that is on the ground that has like a million arrows in it, like real overkill, like literally overkill, like way too many arrows. And then the face is Frida's face. Like, so she did a self portrait within the deer's body. And it's so sad because not only is it because there's a human face, so then naturally there's this inclination to empathize with another human face, but just the fact that like one arrow wasn't enough 2 arrows weren't enough, 5 arrows weren't enough. You know, there was like 15 arrows in this poor little deer body. And it's like bleeding out from every single one. So slightly graphic painting if you want to look it up, but also not, depending on what your comfort level is with blood. It's little drips of blood, so it's not too bad, but it is kind of a morbid piece. And to me, that this also reminds me of that. But then also, deer are really fast, right? There's like deer in the headlights, but they don't move, and they're like, wait, don't hit me. Are you gonna hit me? Oh my god. But then also there's like when whether it's a stampede, there was this, you know, something going down and they're trying to flee. Deer can run really fast, and especially if they're, you know, they're being hunted. So that makes me think of like the resourcefulness of the crow, taking it back there. The deer are really resilient. So we have resourcefulness, we have resiliency, we have the phoenix rising from the ashes, we have perseverance, you know, and then we have collectivity and we have strength in all these animals. So I'm getting a lot of like, don't give up, hope. Like, this world is it like as disappointing as we can find things in this world, there's also still beauty and magic there. And especially when we believe in ourselves, believe in each other, believe in the collective, we could totally make magic happen, and we can totally make moves, and create a world that future generations deserve, and we can be proud to stand by and say, yeah, like we fought hard for this. There were sacrifices made for this world, but it was worth it. But we have to like believe it's worth it, right? Like what's the point in saying, oh yeah, like this sucks and this sucks, and you know, and even showing up to the protest, you're going to say, but you don't believe in peace ever being a reality, or you don't believe in change. So then why show up? Why have an opinion at all? Whoa, all of these cards just fell out. Lots of cards. I just got this deck, so I'm still like trying to, all card decks, if you don't know, like they are made on different kind of paper, different kind of quality. Some of them are like laminated, some of them are smooth, and then the sizes are also different. Like the size of my hands don't change, right? But the size of the cards change, and the quality of the cards change. Okay, we'll take that card, thank you. So now we're going to do some tarot. So we're having some Aquarius energy here with the Star card. We have the Hierophant reverse. Let's see, Spirit, any more cards to the collective in this deck? So there's like, keep dreaming big, keep looking beyond, seeking beyond, like beyond the situations, right? At hand. Like if the news is making you feel less hopeful to the point of hopelessness, then maybe tune away from the news for a while. We have this beautiful energy of 2 of Cups and 6 of Cups. So this to me can signify unions, healing. I spoke about the collective energy before, so I'm definitely getting like healing inner child, community, even the divine union within ourselves, right? The masculine and feminine, and as I like to say, divine comedy within us all. Right. This also could be Two of Cups, a passion for a project, a passion for something you believe in. If you believe in world peace, then there's definitely a lot going on that I'm sure you're passionate about fighting right now, about ending right now. And then Six of Cups. In this particular deck, what's beautiful is, and why I said inner child, is we literally have someone, you know, with their inner child passing that sixth cup. You know, the child is it's like the child is giving a plant in that sixth cup um to your current adult self. And so there is, but the is the funny, the image on this card, it's almost, you can't tell if the child is giving or receiving, and vice versa. And I think it's both, right? Because when we're working with our inner child, like we're letting our inner child heal us, but we're also healing because we're working on our inner child. We're trying to remember our inner child, care for our inner child. We have Wheel of Fortune and Temperance also in the reverse. So we had the Hierophant, Wheel of Fortune, and Temperance in the reverse. What goes around comes around is kind of coming up for me, but also, like, even on this card, Wheel of Fortune, it's interesting is we have three figures. This is from the Modern Goddess Divine Feminine Tarot, and this reminds me of the Three Fates. They even have like the yarn, and one of them has the scissors, like they're about to cut the string, like about to end someone's life. I laugh at that just because I'm thinking of like in Hercules how the Three Fates are characterized. Here they're much cuter and they're younger in this depiction, but um it's interesting. I'm getting like world card energy, but it's Wheel of Fortune. Because there's also a lion and um there's like compass, there is a bull, there is a tiny bird, but it's just in the sky further away, not really a part of it. So it almost gives me the energy of the world card. But then it's like Fortune, Wheel of Fortune, and then you're thinking about yeah, it is really about kind of like cycles, life cycles. And that's what I'm getting here. But also remembering like the beauty in life, like nothing can be reborn or begun until there are some endings. There can't be new beginnings without some endings, and sometimes those endings are a little hard. With Temperance, we're being like encouraged to find balance. Eight of Pentacles, and then we're creating, manifesting like our own abundant life and what that looks like for us. Nine of Pentacles, Eight of Pentacles, Nine of Pentacles right away. Ooh, abundance. Now we're talking. Now we're really like, ooh, the earth, things of the material world are coming into balance, feeling like, oh, finally, now I can really enjoy the fruits of my labor. Hey, look, all nine, they're all here. We've got them growing. The seeds we have planted and sown in the past are being birthed, are coming to fruition. We have Eight of Cups. So leaving behind what no longer serves us emotionally, thinking about like different emotional attachments, thinking about like, the kind of thing that comes to my mind almost was like the idea of like waiting around for the rain in a drought. But when it comes to like love or emotions and other people in our lives, like, you know, don't waste your time. Let us not waste our time. I need to hear this too. I'll say it like this: let us not waste our time, like literally our time, our energy, our everything, waiting around for people who are not ready to love us back, for people who are not ready to have us in their lives, to be in our lives. Um, let us leave on our own terms. This person is walking away really confidently, like this person like carried these cups here and is leaving them, and then his choice is leaving them behind, and it's like walking away like very very matter of fact. What's interesting for me is like I always see, it's funny because I know people always say, this the card is about leaving a situation, leaving something behind. Um and I would say, okay, all of like swords are like can be like pretty bad, except for when you get to the higher suits, like Page of Swords, Queen of Swords, Knight of Swords. Other than that, like you don't want to get those. You don't want to get those in a reading, right? But when it comes to, I feel like, wands and cups and pentacles, um there's like, ace is great. Oh, ace of swords is good. But there's like, this trickiness around like 2 through 5. And then once it hits like 6 and up, it tends to get more positive, or at least how I like to read cards and have noticed for me. And that's something that, I'm self-taught. So, there are a million interpretations of cards. But now this deck is the most positive of Eight of Cups I have seen. Granted, it's, divine feminine tarot deck. So it's also about that kind of empowerment in taking that power back. um but it's not like like a sad, like, oh, what is that? Is it six of swords? I think is the one where that one also is a leaving type one. What is that Six of Wands? Now I would have to see the cards to know, to have my memory jogged. There is a 6 in tarot that it's like, it's usually somebody like on a raft, like literally crossing a river, like about to make the longest journey of their life, going into the unknown where nothing is promised. That's not the case for this, is a different vibe, but um I don't know, something made me think of that. So there's a difference in this type of energy if anyone was confused, or maybe you need to hear that like as a separate message. Ooh, Page of Swords. Page of Swords. So swords being the cards um affiliated with the element of air. Air, we have Aquarius, Gemini, Libra. Those are the zodiac signs. We have the page is kind of like a student, um kind of like the young prodigy, mentee, the one with a lot of potential, but also kind of like that student energy that's like unhinged, like this kid could revolt and rebel at any moment. They have so much to learn, but they are also full of so much potential. This coming from the fact that like eight of swords, like not even four of swords sucks, five, six, seven, eight, especially like eight, nine, and 10 of swords. Um, they're not, these are not cards we want. These are cards of just thinking about the order that the cards typically come in, the cards that preface Page of Swords. There's a lot of difficulty with the mind, with overthinking, with kind of being our own bully, thinking about the schemas we have built in our minds, things that have built up over time that could be from other people, but now like reside in our own head rent free. And we may talk down to ourselves. We may not feel great because of these inner thoughts, intrusive thoughts, um, that seem to wreak havoc. But the Page of Swords is like taking all that back and being like, screw you, we're going to do things different. And then that kind of ties to the animal cards for me. And then thinking about the star card, which is Aquarius energy. Um, the Two of Cups, the Six of Cups with the healing of the inner child, the divine union. Some people talk about like soulmate connections with Six of Cups, which if there's a soulmate in your life, then that's a message for you. But this can also just be like we are our own soulmates also, and like friends can be soulmates, right? You can have like your soul tribe, people you just connect with on a deep level. There could be people from your meditation group, from your sangha, from your community. Then there's also, of course, the Two of Cups energy, which is, you know, could be, you know, the union within yourself, or even with you and your passion, rediscovering, rekindling the fiery passion. I think this is what I'm getting more. Um, and with the Six of Cups, I am getting more that inner child, caring for that inner child, thinking about the inner child. The star, I'm also thinking more about this forward thinking, outward thinking, and dreaming, daydreaming of like daring to daydream about a future of world peace. With the Two of Cups is making me think about even coming together with community members, to discuss and take wise action, politically, for the movement, ceasefire, and um, all of the wars and violence that are going on, at the time that I'm recording this. But at the time you're watching this, um, perhaps there is still war and violence going on. And if that's the case, again, I'm getting this energy of Don't give up. Think about the children. The children. Think about the children. The children we have lost, the martyrs in all of these wars, past and present. Um, the inner wounded child in our shadow self for us to work on and heal and bring out and flesh out as our inner child, who is wounded and our is the same as our shadow self, is the same as our higher self, and our higher self just needs us to grow and recognize that by going through this excavation of remembering what it was like literally to be a child, what it was like to dream, to believe, to have hope, to be curious, to be full of love, to, be very passionate, to be less judgmental, to be more open about the world. Okay. This is funny because I was gonna put this card away because I saw it at the bottom of the deck, and then I shuffled and then it turned out in reverse. So we have 9 of Wands. And for me, this is the energy I'm getting from this card is like, don't lose, careful not to lose your stamina, your passion for what you believe in. Because it's not easy, it's not, revolution doesn't happen overnight, and peace, coming from a world full of war and violence also doesn't happen overnight, right? So while we may be like, oof, I'm a little tired, like, don't lose that fire. Wands is for fire, right? So think about channeling your inner Aries. What are more fire signs? Aries, Leo. Dang, what's the other fire sign? There's the third one. Aries, Leo, Aries, Leo. Sagittarius. Okay, there we go. Sagittarius, eyes on the prize. Remember why and who you're fighting for, right? Aries, don't give up. Light, light and ignite that passion, that fire within, even if you have to go to the depths of your soul where you buried it, dig it back out of, your old treasure chest and trunk under your bed, and then Leo, unapologetically show up. Show up for those you care about, show up for the causes you care for. Because otherwise, what's the point? Right. And also, of course, things won't change if no one is advocating, if no one is fighting, if no one, not even one person. But even if you're just one person, don't give up. If you're just like, oh, it's just me, I'm the only one who showed up to the protest today, I guess I'm going home. Like, why are you going home? You came all the way out there, what, just to go home? Just to go home? Just to give up? So building off of those cards, I am back to the oracles, back to oracle decks. Man, okay. Whoa, a little tumble here. I had tumble with a lot of cards, but two cards flipped over, so I decided to take those two cards. Anything else from this deck might want? Thank you. Oh, yes. All right, let's go with these. So we have solitude and comfort. And I feel like placing those together just because I feel like there is this, like, solitude gets this bad rap for like being uncomfortable, like and I think that's just like haters, like I was called like antisocial by my family growing up, and that was annoying because they made me so uncomfortable. Like I was hiding, in my room, and my room is where I felt the most safe, the most comfortable. And so for me, like, I'm most comfortable with myself. I'm most comfortable on my own and alone. Not that I'm not lonely, not that I don't like friends, not that there aren't friends who also can comfort me, and not that I don't experience like sometimes depression that comes with loneliness. But um this is to say, like, take advantage of your alone time when you are alone, because there are a lot of energies that a lot of people carry from their own experiences, their own emotions, and then there's the people in their lives that they're carrying, and then there's the energies from spirits and other forces that attach to them and everyone in their circle, and what's attaching to them, and it's like having, right, a pod. Like I remember early lockdown of COVID, everyone was talking about having a pod, like where there were people you hung out with, and you hung out with the same people all the time so you can minimize the COVID exposure. But it didn't really make sense because all of those pods were overlapping, because yes, this person is your friend and maybe in your pod, but then they also might have another pod with other friends or their partner and other people or their neighbors, and other people that you wouldn't normally come into contact with. But because they're coming in contact with them, you're getting like secondhand, third hand, fourth hand, viruses and bacteria from other people. um but all is to say, like, really really, like, make it juicy, make your alone time juicy and as comfortable as you can, because we don't always get to relish in alone time. If you have any children, that's something you may know quite well, right? If you have a companion in the form of an animal, you may know this quite well. Cats probably more low key than dogs. Well, depending on how your dog's personality is. But if you have an animal that's more quiet, more to themselves, or sleeps a lot, then yeah, it feels like just you most of the time. But then you may have an animal or companion that definitely makes their presence known. And when you're around them or at home together, you're not really alone, because they kind of always pull your attention or have your attention in some way. So if you don't get to have alone time, this is that encouragement to find some alone time for reflection, for creature comforts. Then I got romance and true love. And true love popped out literally after the romance card. And I said, no way. So to me, I'm not taking this as outside romance and love. I think for me, like romance, let's take it super contemporary. If you think about Charlie XCX's Brat album, there's this song Everything Is Romantic. Bad tattoos on leather tan skin, Jesus Christ on a plastic sign. um you know, fall in love again and again. Everything is romantic, right? So thinking about romance as something you can fall in love with, it's just like anything that you love, anything and everything and everyone that you love, the animals, the birds, the trees, water, nature, putting your bare feet in grass, a cute outfit, you know, putting on some makeup, hanging out with friends, true close friends. And then we also have true love. To me, like this, I immediately was thinking about agape, which is Greek for the form of love that is self-sacrificing, in a way where it's like it could be apparent, but it tends to be described from like the love of God and the love that God, the creator, source, spirit, has for and with everyone, and everything. And so this reminds me of how love, um or how God, source, the divine, is both love itself and not both, is actually a three-part, is love itself and the lover and the beloved. So thinking about like this three-sided, three-pronged relationship. And then it also made me think about Taylor Swift's song, You're in Love, True Love. You can hear it in the silence, and you can see it with the lights out. You could feel it on the way home. You're in love, true love. And she talks about like what it sounds like is a boyfriend in the song. But like I cry my eyes out to that song, like feeling that it's about God. And when I first heard that song, it actually was sent to me by spirit. Like it was telepathically sent to me. And I didn't even know that song existed. Um, and um, and then it came on and I was like, whoa. Um, and yeah, that's one of my favorite songs. But like I have to be like okay and ready to cry when I hear it because it gets me every time. We have dream, daring to fail. Remember, we had that child energy earlier, so reminding us of that. We had fun times. And so again, combining that with dreaming, which is really beautiful to see. Then we have transformation, which makes me think of the Eight of Cups card, where this person is walking away, empowered, but walking away, leaving what no longer serves behind, you know, going on her own terms, going on, you know, your own terms, and shedding any baggage that we may be holding on to. You know, so what we are letting go of and leaving behind. Sometimes these are people, relationships, sometimes they're negative thought patterns that no longer serve us. Sometimes they're bad habits, and sometimes we just are shedding to shed, and we just need, a fresh beginning, a fresh start, and seeing what is aligned with where we are right now versus what is now misaligned because it's more appropriate for a past version of ourselves that we have now outgrown. And that's the thing about Earth School, and that's the thing about life, and that's the thing about being a human, right? We're constantly growing in a spiritual way, in an emotional way, and so on and so forth, right? Not just like bones and body parts growing, but we're more than that, right? We're actually not this vessel, um you know but way more, but we're like controlling the vessel, right? Then lastly, we have vision, like keeping your eyes on the prize. What is it that you want most, and how can we get there? Well, you ask me, I think we want peace, we want love, we want harmony, we want respect, we want everyone being able to live their most authentic selves and most authentic truths without getting BS for it, without getting hurt for it, without being criminalized for it, right? Without being judged for it, without being unalive for it. And I think that it's definitely possible. And lastly, our card from the hip hop queen Oracle deck is, whoa, Mary J. Blige for healing. Wow. What a beautiful card to end on. And I think this does wrap up the general energies I was getting, for the collective. It was a lot of that, a lot of healing, a lot of healing wounds of the past, that rising from the ashes, thinking about going from being all alone and having to be resourceful, having to be resilient and perseverant, to persevering, and to being and joining the collective and community, being in community, being with close friends, being with loved ones, being with those who share our same values. And this is like not just personal healing or community healing, though that is there. This is like healing the mofo world. This is healing the freaking world. Okay. I can't even think of a Mary J. Blige song right now, but she's really popular hip hop and R&B artist, if you don't know. Um and that's just beautiful. That was the last card that we got. I think there is a lot to think about and ponder on and dream on there. So I will end my reading on this note. And please do take care of yourself and your community, your loved ones. Fight for what you believe in, as safe um, as you can, when you can, when it is safe for you to do so. Use discernment when navigating, speaking about um, heavy topics um, in spaces that may have people who share different views than you, and keep an open mind and open heart all through everything that you do. All right, y'all. Much love, peace, and light.